There was a comedian who once made the comment that he thought God spoke to him through his microwave. It was part of his sarcastic response to the whole notion of what it meant to be faithful. And it sounded crazy. But the more I think about that, I think that in some measure that's not an inappropriate description for Christians. I think somehow when Christians are at their best, there is a piece of their life and their faith that just appears crazy to the world. When my children were small and we lived up the coast of British Columbia, I used to take them down to a park, a city park that was on the straits, on the ocean, on the Inside Passage. And one day, one of the children found a trail of ants that was going through the lawn. And so the four of us stood there transfixed, watching these creatures just seemingly mindless about the business of going out, retrieving something, and coming back. When there was a break in the action so that I didn't step on one of the small creatures, I simply placed my foot, my shoe, on the path so that we could watch what would happen. And the creatures came and they hit my shoe and they just walked over my foot. It was quite remarkable. So I asked my kids, I said, do the ants see me? And of course they said yes. To which I said, no, they don't. They do not see me. I am actually too big for them to comprehend. What they do is they see a piece of me. They see just a sign that something is in the way that wasn't there before. They see just a symptom or a symbol of something larger than themselves that they are now walking over. From that point on, that proved to be significant in my life as I began to think about how we encounter the holy presence of God. How the God of all creation, who created stars across the cosmos, light that we see at night, stars that actually no longer exist because they are so far away that they burned up millions of years ago, but the light takes so long, light years, millions of light years to get to us, that we see it. We see something that actually no longer exists. The God who created all of this has come down the mountain to appear to us in the flesh of Jesus, who has become the Christ we know as the Son of God. It's so interesting how, using the experience of my children, how I believe that regularly we walk over the foot of God, but we do not see God. Because God, the God of all creation, is beyond our ability to comprehend. What we see are signs of God's presence, or signs that God has passed through, or we see somehow reflections of what the character of God is all about. I think in some measure, as people of faith, we go about looking for the signs, the revelation of God's presence. And we see that in Jesus, and we lay hold of symbols with great ferocity, like the cross, because in that symbol we see that God came and visited us. But in some measure, we are the people who look beyond the perishable, as Paul wrote to the church at Corinth. We look beyond that which we can see, because that which we see will pass away. We look to that which we cannot see, which will never pass away. You know, by some definitions, that would make us crazy. And for some reason, I find some peace in that. As I look at people of faith willing to live selflessly, who invest their wealth in changing the world for the kingdom that is coming, who live selfless lives of service, and who take joy even knowing that the life of faith is a life of suffering. By some definitions, that's crazy. I would like to suggest to you that I think at those moments, the crazy people are in the holy company of God.